dress. They first met Henry at the Sundance Film Festival. May and Carter were the only non-industry people at a wine bar on Main Street. Bored, they overpaid for some pills. The ecstasy hit May as Henry entered the room. Every cell of her body lined up as if she felt herself expanding. "You hated it," she said over the loud music. "Excuse me?" Henry looked confused. "Don't mind her," Carter said. "She's an only child. She can be very direct." "Admit it, you hated what they did with your script. I could tell by your body language on stage. You didn't even want to be up there." A disdainful look spread across Henry's face. He wondered if everyone in the audience had seen his contempt, or if only she had his number. Before he could respond, Monica, a distinguished woman with dreadlocks, grabbed his arm. "Let's get out of here," she said. "The cast-only party is at Micah's house. If we don't leave now, the car might not make it up with all the snow." Henry looked uncertainly at May, a tall and slender brunette with doe eyes. She seemed to possess both confidence and diffidence, an interesting incompleteness that stirred him. May held his gaze as the waitstaff moved around them, passing appetizers and holding trays of white and red wine. Carter watched the two of them and held his breath. He felt for Henry. He listened to him explain on stage that he had worked on this movie for over a year. Not only had he written the script, but it was based on a novel that had taken him over 3 years to finish. Would he ditch his cast and crew for this chance encounter with a strange girl? "Are you coming?" Monica tugged on Henry's sleeve. "I'll catch up with you later," Henry said. "I've just met some old friends." Henry's slow drawl disarmed Carter. He momentarily stopped thinking of him as a threat and genuinely become interested by his presence. The polite way Henry handled himself earned him an introduction to May Ryder. "Take a seat," Carter said as he pulled out a chair. "You're our first guest." "On what?" Henry sat down. "Why, the May and Carter show," May laughed, feeling satisfied. "Is this some kind of blog?" Henry scowled, feeling that he made a dreadful mistake. "No, we loathe blogs," May said. "They cheapen every interaction, dilute the English language. It's journal writing made public without care or revision." "So you're an editor," Henry spoke to May. "God knows," she said. "I'm just an observer." "Don't believe a word she tells you," Carter replied. "She's in sales. She paid her way through college selling ads." "Is that true?" Henry became interested. "Was #1 in my region," May replied. "Let me guess, somewhere outside of LA. "Not even close," said May. "Newport News, Virginia, known for its shipbuilding and military ports." "I know exactly where that is. I'm from Savannah," Henry jawed, with a new depth in his voice. Henry fell into their banter as if he had written their play and they were rehearsing his lines. He could not tell if they slept together, were sleeping together, or had never slept together at all. That intrigued him. He missed real people, people who talked to have conversation, not to get a movie deal out of him. May placed a turquoise pill in his hand. It had been 20-something years since he had taken a pill this color, but when a girl, and yes, he thought she was still a girl, squeezed it into his hand, he took it without hesitation. Then he took out his reading glasses and looked at the red leather menu. "You won't be hungry by the time the food arrives." May's pupils were almost as big as her caramel-colored eyes. She lifted her arms and twisted her hair into a bun. Carter observed the beauty and the horror of her hair. She had a lot of it, layers and layers of thick brown curls. Corkscrews littered her neck and shoulders. He wanted to pluck them off one by one, and he would have, if he didn't already know that she would have slapped his wrist. "Would you sign my book?" May took her copy out of her purse and with her best sarcasm said, "They're giving them away at the door for free. Is that a bad sign?" "That they're souvenirs?" Henry took out his pen. "Books are now just promotions for the movie, a relic. People take them home as doorstoppers, never to be opened." "We promised to read it." May looked at Carter to chime in. She glared at him, but he had missed his cue. Carter downed his glass of water, and with a shaky hand, he poured himself another. The first wave of the drug hit his delicate stomach hard. He told himself that this too would pass. May shot him a keep-your-cool glance that only made things worse for him. He knew how awful she would be if he messed this up for her. He knew how badly she wanted to meet interesting people, to propel her from her boring life. He took long, deep breaths out of his nose, and a small sigh crept from his mouth. "Excuse me," he said to a waitress. "Could we get some more water? No bubbles, please." Carter steadied his eyes on May's Egyptian blue dress, its silk wrapped around her torso and draped down her leg. When the waitress returned, Carter regained his composure. The conversation turned to literature, and Carter impressed Henry with his knowledge of Turgenev, Blake, and Defoe, while May sat quietly, enjoying her high, listening to the sound her tights made as she recrossed her legs. And just when Henry thought she was an accessory, she would say something sharp about each book. "I've always thought Bazarov was onto something with his nihilism. Social order and traditional values are strange, passed down beliefs. Perhaps only art has meaning. Yet when I saw you on stage, I wondered if even art is an illusion, to keep us going, to believe that something we do is important. I think Bazarov was more of a nihilist in the sense of revolutionary reform." Carter jumped in, fearing May had offended Henry. She often acted too intimate with people before she knew them well. "More people know about Defoe than Turgenev," Henry continued. "Yet you could..." see that he was just thinking about what May had said. She had this way of getting under people's skin. Mal Flanders," May laughed, sensing a need to entertain. "What a horror! Yet still a hero, the most unhappy of all women. I'd rather die young and be poisoned like Bazarov than have a lifetime like that." "Bazarov was not poisoned," Henry said. "He died of the plague." "It was typhus," Carter corrected him. "He got it from a peasant." "Same thing," Meg said. "Cigarettes! That is what we need. Cigarettes!" Henry's body started to tingle. The rush. This was his favorite part. His problems drained down his legs, and he checked to see if there was a large puddle under his chair. He laughed at the dry, checkered floor. He found himself thinking, and then sang out loud one of Blake's poems. "Cruelty has a human heart, and jealousy a human face, terror the human form divine, and secrecy the human dress. The drugs must be kicking in," May grinned. "She always dismisses poetry," Carter said to Henry. "There was a time when poetry moved a few softer hearts." Carter frowned sourly. He liked Blake's poem. He knew it well. What he didn't like was that Henry was the one reciting it. May laughed again at something Henry had said. Carter would patent her laughter if he could. Thank you.
Jennifer Lewis, ladies and gentlemen.